up, everybody? It's KBR Sports, the best sports talk show your 24-hour day. I'm your host, Brendan Abbin. My co-host, Nigel Patterson, is running a bit late today, but we're going to keep the show going because, we can't stop the flow of KBR Sports, man. When you got a stream of waters going down, you don't want to block it off because what's going to happen is going to overflow and burst. So we got to keep the stream going and everything like that. But don't forget, everybody, to follow and subscribe to KBR Sports on Rabble TV, Spreaker, YouTube, iTunes, and SoundCloud. Also, don't forget to follow KBR Sports on Twitter at KBR_sports, where we see the live link prior to every show as well, some of our show topics as well. And don't forget, you can also call in at 571-991-0566 if you want to chime in on anything we discussed during the KBR Sports podcast. Once again, the number is 571-991-0566. But guys, just to get kind of get the shows kicked off and everything like that, man. Let me tell you guys about my day. I'm telling you guys, past 2 days have been so stressful, y'all. Y'all just, man, they have been stressful. But one thing I always realize is that one thing that'll help you get through all your stressful days and whatnot is if you don't sit back and think of yourself as having the worst situation out there in the world. Because even though stuff was happening to me and stuff like that, that was a bit stressful and whatnot, I kind of sat back and realized, man, somebody else has it way worse than I do. Like somebody else's situation is less fortunate. Somebody else is wishing they could be in my situation. My problem, like I at least know, like whatever I go through, in most cases, I'm pretty sure I will survive out of it. You know what I mean? But some other people, they don't know where their next meal is going to come from. They don't know how they're going to get a roof over their house, over their head. Sorry. And some people just don't know what their next day meal is going to come from. And I think that's a lot of times where we mess up because we lose perspective on a lot of things. And when we should realize that a lot of us are pretty privileged our parents worked really hard to put us in a position where we don't have to worry about where's our next meal going to come from, what house we're going to stay in the next day, what clothes we're going to have on our back. And our parents worked very hard to put us in this position. So I think I'm sounding like Nigel at the end of the show for an inspirational quote, but I mean, truly, we should all just take a step back each day and realize how lucky we are for all the things that we have, and just how thankful we should be for our health, because they always say if there's one thing in life that you should be thankful for, it's your health, because once you lose that, it's very difficult to get it back. But yeah, definitely be thankful for your health, be thankful for your family, whatever religious purpose you serve, be thankful for the higher powers that see over your life and your safety. You just gotta be thankful for all those things. But all right, let me give you guys a quick rundown of our topics for today. So we're gonna be talking about Steph Curry, and this is a personal topic I kind of felt the need to put in there because I feel like I asked the question. Well, I'll get into it when I get into the topic. We're gonna be talking about Steph Curry and his recent struggles and how it should be perceived by the general sports populace. Then we're going to touch on NBA players resting, of course, because we got to get into all that stuff. We talked about it some last show, but LeBron had more to say about it coming into this show, so we got to talk about it more this time. Then we're also going to talk about LeVar Ball and more comments, and LeBron obviously fired back at him. Then LeVar fires right back at LeBron. It's just a mess. It just doesn't end. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of a teenage drama saga. That's truly what it is. That's what the definition of LeVar Ball is. Then we're going to touch on the Los Angeles Clippers and talk about if one thing they missed up on in the trade deadline might have officially closed their window, their championship window. Stay tuned to find that out. But let me jump right into it with the Steph Curry talk. Steph Curry, pretty much my whole position on this Steph Curry conversation, because obviously the predominant notion recently has been that Steph is going through multiple struggles. He's struggling to find his shot and everything like that, which he is. He's not shooting as efficiently as he was from three-point range last year. Last year, he shot 45% from three-point range. This year, he's down to 40%. From the field, he shot 50%. This year, he's down to 46%. So, I understand that people are saying, oh, this dip, and Steph has had a precipitous dip in his game and everything like that. And because of this dip and his less inflated numbers, now people, I see the overall consensus is that Russell Westbrook and James Harden are better than Steph Curry. Well, I'm here to disagree with that notion. And here's why. Because if you think about it, we're literally a year removed from Steph Curry having one of the most efficient years in basketball history. Not just in one, like in history, on all of history, not just that year, in all NBA history. Steph averaged 30 points at 40, like I just said, 45%. I'm sorry, from the 3-point line. He shot 50% from the field, and he took 20 shots to do it. I don't think people understand how efficient that is for a player to perform on such a high level. And so, and then you also look at other aspects, like he shot 90% from the free throw range. He's one of the few list of players, including Steve Nash and others, to go 50% from the field, 45% from 3-point range, and 90% above from the free throw line. He also averaged 6.7 assists and 5.4 rebounds. But here's the big stat in all of that. He only played 34.2 minutes. 34.2 minutes, and he averaged 30 points. That's how efficient this guy was last season. I think everybody just kind of forget, it's like how quickly they forget. Kind of like how people were so quick to forget LeBron is when Steph was going crazy last year. Everybody's saying, "Oh man, Russell Westbrook's going off with the triple doubles." Not spectacular. And James Harden leading assists. Both things are spectacular in their own right. Don't get me wrong. But I look at these things in context and realize how great Steph's year has been, and just how little usage rate he did it on. So right now, this season, let me give you guys a prism of this season. So right now, James Harden 29.4 points per game, 11.2 assists, 8.1 rebounds, shooting 44.6% from the field, 35.2% from three, 85%. Russell Westbrook, he's averaging 0.4 points per game, 10.3 assists, 10.5 rebounds, shooting 41.8% from the field, 33% from 3-point line, and 84% from the free throw line. Well, let's talk about these guys' usage rate. That means how much out of 100 possessions are these guys using the ball? Russ at 49%, 41.9%. James Harden uses the ball at 4% rate. Steph Curry, he uses the ball this season right now. He's averaging 25 points. Steph Curry uses the ball at 29.8%. 29.8%. So just to let you guys know, like, Russ uses the ball almost. No, he does use the ball 12.1% more than Steph. James Harden uses the ball 4.6% more than Steph. So when Steph used the ball at a 32.6% rate, which was last season, that's when he had that crazy efficient season. Now just imagine if Steph Curry used the ball 41.9% of the time, like Russell Westbrook is using it right now. Like, come on. The dude would probably average over 35 points because of how efficient he is. And we're talking about how bad of a slump it is for Steph Curry this season. He's still shooting a better field goal percentage than both of the two leading MVP candidates. He's shooting better than them from three. If you want to tell me anything, the only thing they're doing better than him is rebounding and assists. But I give you the rebounding stat. I'm not gonna argue that one. But in terms of assists, the other two guys are way more ball dominant than Steph. They dominate the ball way more than Steph Curry does. That's why if you notice on the Warriors and their stat line, that's why Draymond Green averages over 7 assists. That's why Kevin Durant averaged over 5 assists. That's why Klay Thompson averages over 3 assists. Because all their offense is so predicated on ball movement. Not one guy is going to dominate the basketball. But the reason why Draymond Green has the most assists, because normally when Steph Curry comes off the screen and roll, and they have to hedge so hard on him because he can knock down the long range shot, it forces Steph to drop the ball off to Draymond, and Draymond is, from that point on, Draymond is the decision maker, because then he has what you would like pretty much call a 2-on-1. He has a mismatch at the rim, so he can the man that rotates over from the corner shooter has to either stay with that corner shooter or rotate over to Draymond. If they rotate over to Draymond, Draymond kicks it out to Klay Thompson or Kevin Durant. That's an open three, so that's why Draymond has so many assists. That's why you see that Steph Curry's assist numbers aren't as high, but even with Steph Curry having such a lesser usage rate than the other two guys, Steph still averages right at 5 assists a game. Actually, no, this season 6.3 assists a game. So when people bring the notion to me that Steph is worse than Russ or James Harden, you guys got to really look deep into the stats, because, and I even heard it before, that because that Russell Westbrook or Steph is better. Russell Westbrook's better than Steph because when Russell Westbrook played with Kevin Durant, this is how he performed. He averaged 23.5 points per game. He averaged 10.4 assists and 7.8 rebounds. He shot 45% from the field, 29.6% from the three-point range, and 81% from the free throw line. Okay, so when you and then you compare it to Steph's season this year when Steph's averaging 25, 6, and 4.5, and then he's shooting 46% from the field, 40% from three-point range. When you can't compare the two. Want to know why? Here's the reason. One, Russ still had a higher usage rate than Steph in Russ's last season with Kevin Durant. Russ took more shots than Steph in his last season with Kevin Durant than Steph took this year while he was playing with Kevin Durant. When Kevin Durant was still healthy, they all were at 17 shots a game. Actually, Steph dropped down to 16.8 when Kevin Durant was healthy. So Steph, out of Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Kevin Durant, Steph actually took the least amount of shots. Right next to Kevin Durant, then Klay Thompson took the most. So when you try and look at it, you gotta actually give perspective between these things, because Russell Westbrook's usage rate mirrored what James Harden's usage rate is this season, and Steph's usage rate this year is 29.8. Russ's usage rate has never been that low. So you can't compare the two and say, oh, because one guy played better with Kevin Durant and the other guy didn't. No, and if you actually want to look on efficiency, from an efficiency standpoint, Steph actually is playing better with Kevin Durant than Russell Westbrook is. You can't just let the assist numbers be gawking at you and let it form your perspective. Because if you bring down, Russ was the primary ball handler for OKC. So he normally is the primary distributor, whereas Golden State, they have 1, 2, 3 ball distributors. So Steph's not going to rack up the high amount of assists. Draymond is the guy that's going to get the most assists, like I alluded to earlier. And then if anybody wants to go and say, oh, well, Steph Curry's not a good defender, yada, yada, yada. Russ is a better defender than him. James Harden is a better defender than him. Well, y'all, I think you guys should do your homework because it's really wrong. Steph Curry, when Steph Curry guards anybody, they shoot the same as their regular field goal percentage. There's no difference. There's a 0% difference from when Steph Curry guards somebody versus their regular shooting percentage. When James Harden guards somebody, they shoot 1.8% better when James Harden guards them. Now this one's gonna get you. When Russell Westbrook guards somebody, they shoot 3.9% better when Russell Westbrook guards them. 3.9% better. Like what? I mean, I'm not making these stats up, people. Like it's evident. Like even though Steph Curry has this reputation of not being a great defender, if anything, the stat shows he's an average defender. If any at all, it's to show that Russell Westbrook and James Harden obviously are bad defenders. James Harden has been marketed as such, but Russell Westbrook gets the nod for being this lockdown defender that he's not. So I get the triple double looks cool. James Harden leading the league in assists is cool, but if you want to actually look in terms of efficiency and in the total player package, Steph is as good as any of those guys, if not better. He's taking less shots and is still averaging 25 points. Imagine if Steph Curry used the ball at 41.2% like Russell Westbrook. If Steph Curry used the ball at 41.2%, Steph could possibly average over 35 points per game. And I'm being generous. 41 point. Come on now. Come on, y'all. Let's be real. The dude averaged 30 points per game on 50% shooting with a 32.6% usage rate last season. I trust me, those two are my two MVP finals. But if you want to tell me they're better than Steph Curry, it's not the equivalent of you telling me they're better than LeBron James. But let's not let the gawking stats be what determines who's better and who's not. Because evidently last year Steph had the better season, but he wasn't a better player than LeBron James. We all know that. Russell Westbrook and James Harden might have amazing seasons, but as total packages, they're not better than Steph Curry. I'm sorry. Even while he's in a slump and he's still shooting 40% from 3. This is a slump. Russell Westbrook's never shot 40% from 3. James Harden has never shot 40% from 3. And this is a slump for this guy. Like, come on now. And then everybody wants to say, oh, well, the Golden State Warriors are losing. You do realize when you lose the second best player in the game, it's going to affect how your team performs. He was also the second best defender on that team, so it's going to affect how your team performs. So, when you take Kevin Durant out and you have to go get Matt Barnes and then you have to acclimate other bench players into the rotation, you're pretty much forming a whole new team again. It's not like, oh, because you got Clay, Draymond, and it's just going to be the same thing. No, when you put a new piece in there, it changes everything. Kevin Durant did so much for them on offense and defense. You can't just supplant 25.7 points or so per game and supplant that and assume that that's going to be, everything's going to be all right because they still have Steph, Clay, and Draymond. No, they lost. When you traded for Kevin Durant, or when you signed Kevin Durant, you let go of Harrison Barnes, Andrew Bogut, Leandro Barbosa, Festus Ezeli, and I'm missing Amori Spates. So you let go of 5 guys to get one, and you think they're going to still perform the same? There's no way. It's irrational. They're not going to perform the same once they lose that one guy that they gave away 5 people, or they let 5 people walk for. There's no way that naturally can happen. So of course it's going to be a dip in play. But as you see now, after that rest, they're playing perfectly fine now, because now they're getting more acclimated to playing with one another. Even though Steph hasn't all of a sudden started shooting way more accurately. Steph, I think last game Steph shot about 3 of 9 from 3-point range. So it's not like Steph all of a sudden is getting really hot, so they're winning these games. No, they're just getting better at playing with one another. That's all it is. So I mean, I just had to get that. I know I kind of went on that tangent with that, but I just always hear the Steph Curry disrespect, and I just feel like people don't do enough in-depth research, and they don't apply context to the statistics on their face. So I feel like I always have to, provide a little illumination so it's easier for you guys to get enlightened by that. But all right, y'all, we're gonna transition to our next topic. When we come back from the break, we're gonna talk about NBA players resting, of course, like we talked about last show. But LeBron James actually came out with some statements of his own, so we're gonna get into some of that. Stay tuned, y'all. It's KBR Sports, the best sports talk show, 24-hour day. And do not forget, the link will disappear once the segment ends. But wait about 20 to 30 seconds. Hit the refresh button. And we should be right back streaming live again, so you guys can tune in right then and there. But if we're not, just hit the refresh button a couple of times. We will hopefully be right back on. Stay tuned, y'all. It's KBR Sports.
On that beat. Go.